Hello, I'm gonna show you how to make a stylized tree using Blender and Godot 4. A cool thing about this is that you can also use it as a bush, so you achieve two things by doing this. So it's like that saying, two birds, one stone. So let's start with setting up the Blender path real quick. This will allow you to use blend files in your Godot project. And it's really nice because it allows you to quickly make changes and it will update immediately in Godot. So it's like real-time integration. And for this you need to be using Blender 3.0 or newer. So let's go to Project Settings and search for Blender. You might have to enable advanced settings for this if it's not showing up for you. And enable Blender, now press save and restart. Now when it's restarted, go to Editor Settings and search for Blender again. And under File System Import, this may already be automatically set up for you, but if it's not, locate it and it should be inside of the Blender Foundation folder and then select the version you're using. Now we can start making the tree, so let's open up Blender and delete everything. Press A, X, delete. And let's model the trunk of the tree, so press Shift A, Mesh Cylinder. And in the bottom left, you can change the vertices. If you want a more high poly look, make it higher, and if you want a low poly look, make it lower. I'm gonna keep it somewhat in between for a mid poly look, so I'm gonna make it 16 vertices. Now go to Edit Mode by pressing Tab. Now select Face Select by clicking up here in the top left. And I think you can also just press the number 3 on your keyboard. Now grab this top face and press S to scale it down a little. And change your viewport so you're viewing it directly from the side. And press G to move it around a bit. Now let's extrude this trunk. Hold Ctrl and right click where you want to extrude it. Or extrude it the regular way by pressing E to extrude. And extrude it a couple times until you're happy with it. And if you're making a dead tree, you might want it to have a pointy look at the end. And to do that, you want to merge it at the top. So enable X-ray mode and enter vertex selection mode and select all the top vertices and hit M and merge at center, and it will give you that pointy look. Now let's add more branches. Press Ctrl R and then rotate the new edge we made to the direction you want your branch to go out in. You can now change your view so it can go out in different directions. Hold Ctrl again and right click where you want it to go out. When you do this, you don't get a face at the end, so you can select the outer vertices and hit F to fill it. Now add some finishing touches like rotating and scaling some parts up so it looks better. Make sure to go into edit mode and hit A to select everything and Alt N to recalculate outside. It's recommended you do this for all your game assets because it makes it so all the surfaces face outward and are consistent and helps with lighting and shading in your game. Now we're going to make the leaf balls, and this is what the leaves are going to stick to later. So go back to object mode and hit Shift A and add a cube. Go to modifiers and add a subdivision to it. And then apply it in the drop down arrow and hit apply. Go back into edit mode and duplicate it. To duplicate, press Shift D and try to fit your balls to your branches. Scale and rotate them all to the size you want. And if you have several leaf balls, select them all and hit Ctrl J to combine them all. Now go to object mode and add a plane. This will be the leaves, and duplicate it by pressing Shift D again and hit R to rotate it and X 90. Now duplicate it again and hit R, Z 90, and you will have something that looks like this. Combine all of your planes into one, just like we did with the leaf balls. And now rename everything to trunk, balls, leaves, so it's easier later to know what is what. And now we're done with the model. And if you want to add collision to it, recreate the tree with really simple models and shapes and name it -col only, and your tree will have collision and all the suffixes are down in the description. And also give your tree some materials so it's not all white and boring. And now we can save this, so hit File, Save As or Ctrl S on your keyboard and make sure to save it inside of your Godot project and the place you want it to be stored. I like to have all my blend files in the same folder. Now open up Godot. Now you have your tree in Godot, so right click it and hit New Inherited Scene. And now you can hide your plane and also add a Multimesh instance 3D node and select Multimesh, Populate Surface. Our target surface will be our balls and our source is the leaves. Turn the random rotation up to max and random tilt to max as well. Set random scale to 1 and set the amount to something like 500. And now go down in the description and download the leaf texture. I didn't make it myself, I stole it from someone else, but you can always make your own leaf texture if you want. In the inspector, click on geometry, drag in your leaf texture and expand it. In transparency, change it to alpha scissors and change the alpha scissor threshold to 0.9 and disable cull mode. And if you wanted to have a more toony look, in the shading dropdown, change diffuse mode to toon and specular mode to toon as well. Some people also like to disable shadows for stylized, and you can do that if you scroll down and change cast shadows to off. But I like shadows, so I'm gonna keep them on. One bonus tip, if you want your leaves to have a wind effect to them, you can download the scatter plugin from the asset library, and in that plugin they have a leaves shader. Drag the shader onto your geometry material override and change the alpha scissor threshold to 0.9, wind speed to 0.2, wind strength to 0.05 and noise scale to 12, and drag in your black and white cow leaf texture. Pretty clever naming. And now for the texture gradient and the texture noise. From the Proton Scatter plugin there's a pine tree, so you can search for it, and in that scene on the leaves copy it and paste it over to your tree. And now we're done. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. And I'm also working on a game, so you should wishlist it. And I will be posting the progress in the Discord server, so if you're interested in that, you should join the Discord.